Hello guys, it's your host from the Brett's Review Show. Let's fire up this review. Gonna try and do it a little bit lighter because now I'm using a webcam now. I've got a webcam. So you can expect vlogs and especially reviews, like vlogs for my main channel and reviews for this channel here, like this now. Today's review is another live action anime based movie. Now, it's also on Netflix. Now, I hated, just like majority of any anime fan, hated the Death Note live action because why? It reminded all of us of the embarrassing blasphemy of Hollywood's version of Dragon Ball Evolution. This one is based off of an anime that by far is one of the would say what most anime fans would say they're one of their top favorites. And this is a particular anime that I've watched and I'm a big fan of. Full Metal Alchemist. It's a Netflix live action, so you could say it's on Netflix, so yes. It's directed by Fumihiko Sori. Ryosuke Yamada. The cast is Ryosuke Yamada, Tsubasa Honda, and Dean Fujioka. Now, there's others in here that have not. That obviously the rest of the cast is not mentioned here, and the starting music, the music in the anime itself is, or in this movie itself is, it's pretty good. It's pretty reasonable. It fits for the moments, you know. Um, and from the anime, there's some things that I don't remember seeing. Like I remember seeing Ed and Al's mom hugging them both and saying, "Hey, your alchemy is much more improving. It's getting better. Your father will be proud." And of course, your father would love to see what you've done, but you don't see her fall. It's like she's giving her boys a fake smile to pretend that she's actually not feeling well at all. And in her moment where she calls out to her boys to add it now, say, hey, be careful, don't go too far. Before she could even finish that, she just falls. And then it goes immediately into the funeral scene. And Ed and Al are still sitting there in front of their mother's gravestone. Al goes, I'm cold. I'm hungry. I want to see mom again. Ed literally shows just how smart, how intelligent he is for being just a boy. Let's see, about 8 years old. Let's say just being an 8-year-old boy, being that intelligent, being that smart, to come up with an idea of, hey, let's do the taboo to create a homunculus out of her mom, to bring her mom back. And they do this. They did get that right. They in this movie they got that right to that certain point when they did the human transmutation. They did that right. They got all of the ingredients, the amount right, everything to the science, everything right. But they did not show. They literally just showed at the part that in that room, the whole entire place gets torn to shreds. And just like in a tornado, one part rips off. There goes Al. Al was going around in a circle in a funnel, and he's yelling for Ed, reaching out to him. Ed's doing the same thing, reaching out to him. They get about this close, and it gets pulled away. And then the same thing happens to Ed, and then that's it. Then it immediately goes into Raoul, where Ed, in a way, is supposed to be like what would be in his in like the first original Fullmetal Alchemist, where that place he first saved, um, where they go against the priest, and there's certain characters that you should expect to see don't appear. Like Rose, she does not appear at all. Um, in the first part, she does not in this part here. What I'm talking about in Raoul, where they're going after the priest, she doesn't appear at all. Where both Full Metal and Full Metal Brotherhood, or Alchemist Brotherhood, they did, where she did show up. Then there's other characters like Ed's teacher and her husband, or the other character who fell in love with lust in her disguise, right? He wasn't there. Ross was there, yes. Hughes was there. Mustang was there. Hawkeye was there. Even though she was, as far as I could tell, was never called Hawkeye. Just Lieutenant. Which is fine because all Mustang calls her is Lieutenant or Lieutenant Hawkeye when he's really serious anyway. Which is totally understandable. Did they nail the characters? Hell yes. They nailed Ed. Yes, he didn't yell and scream as much when they called him puny or shrimpy or small fry, but he did react to irritably to any comment that was, "Hey, shrimp," or "Hey, have a small bite," like Winry said on the train to go see Marco. In that particular part where Marco dies, that was actually supposed to be his fake death. In the anime, he's actually still alive in Brotherhood, but as far as I could tell, from what I remember in the Full Metal Alchemist one, he did die there. He did not come back. He did die. Um, they didn't show other characters that uh, were apparent, like Scar. They did not show him. They showed the one character in Brotherhood that was, I think his name was Hakuro, or Hakura, I believe Hakura. Yeah, Hakura. The one character who in Brotherhood who thought he could control the dummies with that were had the that were embedded with the Philosopher's Stone that the military had created or had transmuted themselves with Dr. Marco's help, and they couldn't control him. They nailed those little dummy, or in other words, what Lust called them, babies. They nailed them. They nailed them to a T. They were perfect. And yes, they were. He was the first one that they killed. They killed a lot of people. They killed a lot of people in the anime, but they were that Hakura was the first one that they killed. Um, there's the emotional scene between the brothers in both the first and the second the Full Metal Alchemist original and Brotherhood. The emotional scene with Nina and Alexander. With Ed beating the living daylights out of Tucker. They nailed that part, but what they missed was that not only Al was the one who stopped Ed from continuing, from basically killing Tucker at that point, that Nina was also supposed to, in their Nina and Alexander combination, their Chimera form was actually supposed to grab a hold of Ed's jacket and pull him to get his attention. but she did ask him like, "Hey, big brother, can you play with me? Play with me." And um, they did not show Scar. Scar was not in this movie whatsoever, but he was the one who, because Nina escapes. She escapes, and we all know that Scar's the one who ends her, takes her out. They do nail the fact of how Mustang and Ed have this kind of like rivalry kind of attitude, but yet they're friends, but yet they're not really friends. They're more like rivals, so they're constantly picking at each other. Mustang always knows what's to set him off, set Ed off, but also drive him to new heights because Mustang knows Ed's potential or sees Ed's potential, and Ed admits that he would do anything to get his brother back. That he's not doing this just for himself, he's doing it for Al. And though the fight between the brothers after the fifth, they was supposed to happen after the events of the fifth laboratory, but it happened before. But that's totally fine because they nailed that fight. They nailed that fight. For people who don't really know the story or the constant bickering between Ed and Al themselves, Ed never won a fight against Al. Even when they were fighting for Winry's hand for marriage when they were kids, Ed never won. Al always beat him. Now, we can see that Al is actually a little bit shorter than Ed in this movie, but in the anime, he was actually slightly taller than than Ed, from what I remember. And and again, Ed could literally tell when at the end when he used the Philosopher's Stone to go back to that place with the Gate of Truth to talk to God or himself. He turns and looks at Al and says, you're here, Al, and you've gotten so skinny, but you've grown." And the God had walked up, was like, "Oh, you got the proper tool, so I'm just gonna take this." Nope. Ed says no. He says, "I promise I'll come for you. I promise." And he yells, "Al," and then he's back. And I like the fact that I also noticed in this movie they like I said, when they brought the dummies into view, the dummies were not a part of the first anime. They were a part of the second anime. They merged a little of the Fullmetal Alchemist, the original, with Brotherhood, and try to take scenes and from that anime and bring them into a live action movie. And it also is kind of set as, well, we already kind of know what happens. Like he's already done some great things. Like he's already made a name for himself and all this and that. Um, like I said, they nailed the characters. Winry was absolutely perfect. Whoever played Winry was absolutely perfect, really perfect, and especially the fact that she's the key to keeping these brothers together. Ed and Al, she's the key. Even though she ends up with Ed, she's the key to keep these brothers together. Even when they're fighting, she's the key to keeping them together. Because she knows that these two are the only things that they have. They only have each other. So when they got to that scene, they nailed that with Ed and Al's fight. They nailed that. And of course, Ed was willing to hurt his other hand to try and prove his point. And I say before that because they I could say that it's fine to have it as before, or when he still had his prosthetic arm, his metal arm still attached. From what I remember, when they had that fight, he didn't have that arm, or he did. He did actually have that arm, but it was after the fifth laboratory. But like I said, they changed it, and then like they had it before the fight, and they had Tucker was also still alive at that point as well, because he came back because he kidnapped. You could basically say he paralyzed or hypnotized Al, made sure he couldn't move, kidnapped Winry, and threatened to put a bullet in her head, so to make Ed rip off his arm. He used alchemy to break down the part of his shoulder to rip off his arm. Man, that's gotta be painful. But they nailed the emotional scenes. They nailed the scenes that are supposed to be funny. They nailed them. When they said that when after the what happened in Real, where Ed and the priest punch, Ed's using his metal arm, his prosthetic arm, and the priest is using the ring. Like they used a moment where slow mo, you got Ed coming in, and you got the priest going up like this, using the ring first, closing, and then boom, which knocks the stone out of its metal ring part out, and Mustang's the one who picks it up. He shows Ed like, hey, snap. It turns to dust. It after it ignites, it turns to dust. Proves to Ed it's a fake. But in that collision, that stone, even though it's an amplifier, because it was a fake, so it amplifies the person's alchemy, and it caused Ed's arm to short out and break. So it just basically destroyed his arm, and he's talking after their little discussion in the office, in you could say Mustang's office. Hughes comes in, and there was another character that was not mentioned because she was also a big help. I can't remember her name, so let me know in the comments down below because I can't remember her name, but she's the one who memorized everything. She was the one who memorized all of Marco's recipes because that's how they figured it out in the anime, but not here in this live action. In the anime, that was different. She was also a help because she memorized everything. She became Hughes' new assistant before you had Ross come in and the other guy come in, the guy who fell in love with Lust in the Brotherhood anime, and they probably couldn't find anyone to play Mustang, or not Mustang, Armstrong. Where was Armstrong? Come on, he's supposed to be a part of it. Hello, oh, you know. I'll show you the families and generations. Where was Mustang? Where was the goof? Where's the muscle-headed goof? They didn't show Ed and Al going back to Risen Bowl. Of course, in the English subtitles was messed up when Risen Bowl was talked about. It was Risen Bowl, which is Resen Bowl, Bool. In the anime, it's Rimble, Risimble, Risembool. So that was a little bit of a typo, but the stone chimeras and whatnot was funny with the priest because he actually had a lion chimera. I guess it was kind of hard to come up with, maybe for a live action because he had a lion chimera, one of the actual ones with the snake and whatnot, show up to prove the point, like, hey, he's the Fullmetal Alchemist. You know, he's got one on his arm, he's got one on his leg. Get the heck off of me, smash. And then how they showed Al just come in, just boom, and I was like, the fight scene with Al, bring it on, 6 inch. It just opens up a can of whoop ass, and it was so cool. It was so cool. They in a way they nailed the fight scenes, even if it was just a little different. They nailed it. That's why I say it was so entertaining to watch. It's so much better than Death Note, Netflix. You fucked up You fucked up Death Note. Death Note. You fucked that up. Yes, I'm cursing. I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you guys right now, Netflix. If you're watching this, which I'm pretty sure you don't, you screwed up. You screwed up on Death Note. But with this one, with Fullmetal Alchemist, I better see another one. Okay? I better see another one. It better, if another one comes out, it better be. You better be. Better be thinking of making another one for Fullmetal Alchemist 2. Because that was awesome. It was such an improvement. One of the things that I liked is the fact that you nailed the relationship between the brothers. You nailed the relationship between Ed and Mustang. There was some sort of like a connection in a way that you nailed Mustang and Hawkeye. But then you got Hawkeye, who has this little fear, has like fears of what happened during the Ishvalan War, and seeing blood, but then having the courage to get over the fact that, oh, I got blood on my hand from a guy, from one of the soldiers who died. I'm carrying one of the guns with blood on my hands. Uh, uh, it's just it all these scenes, because Tucker, in a way, he should have died long before that, but they brought him back to point out that Tucker was, to the actual military or the government in a way, they seen Tucker as useless, right? This is Hakuda talking about. But Hakuda seen how useful Tucker's research was, and that's how they came up with how to use the Philosopher's Stones to help create an army. And that's where the dummies come in, or in other words, the babies, as Lust dubbed them. One way to defeat them is either shoot them in the head, or have a homunculus with an appetite such as gluttony eat them all up. So right before Lust and Envy's demise, Gluttony got to eat, but Gluttony basically watched Lust die. Now, Lust actually dies before Envy does. Just before Envy does. They did it differently because we didn't see Envy's true form. We seen Gluttony's, but we did not see um Envy's at all. We only see Envy still died because of Mustang, but we didn't see. That was when we see Mustang really go nuts, right? That's when Mustang and Brotherhood's really supposed to go nuts. How he really shows his anger, how dark he can really be, how it can really is at times, or at that current time, how thirst of revenge for what Envy did to Hughes, for killing Hughes. And they did that scene pretty good. But then it looked like, wait, Mustang isn't the one who kills him. Why would they cut to that? Why is it that he turns around, sees Mustang, Mustang pulls the trigger. Boom, boom, that's the end. Well. That ain't supposed to be how it is. No. In the anime, Ross is the one. Envy takes the form of Ross, and Ross is the one who comes in. That's how they came up the fingerprints for Ross on the gun. That's why when Mustang gets alone with Ross in Brotherhood, he roasts her. He takes her out. But that was fake. It was a complete setup to catch the real person who was behind it. Lust admits that she couldn't finish him off. Envy takes credit for the death of Hughes. Obviously, that's fine. He gets hit. Envy gets hit, and then it takes him too long. That's when Ed in the live action here. That's when Ed and Colonel Mustang figure out like, hey, these guys might be immortal, but they have limited lives. They have limited times for the amount of times that they die. So Envy's already reached his point. So if Envy's already reached his point, it must take quite a lot for Lust to be taken out. Unless you could do enough to prevent her from being able to counterattack to defend herself, to rip out the Philosopher's Stone out of her chest like Mustang did. Now, in the anime, I don't remember that happening. I remember Mustang literally obliterating Lust, not stopping, constantly snap, 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 till she just turns to dust, like she's just gone. And he basically punishes Envy in the same way in the anime, but here it only took one more shot. Like, he gets blasted a couple of times, but then it only took one more shot from Mustang's attack to finish him off. And I like the fact they actually showed the intensity, the anger for revenge in Mustang's eyes when he went in. And he's like, how many? Oh, you're on your knees now, huh? You must have a soft spot too. How many times do I have to kill you before you shut up and die? It just rips out the stone. I thought this live action, it kind of blends both the original and Brotherhood all together in a way, but yet I would like to see this continued and actually finished in a final one. We did not see Greed at all. We did not see the Fuhrer. We did not see the Fuhrer's son, who's also a homunculus. We did not see him. We didn't see any of these characters that we should have seen here. But that's fine. They still made a good movie, regardless of the fact that these characters did not make an appearance. Come on, guys. Come on. Make another one of these. Please. Please make another one of these. The Netflix film Fullmetal Alchemist gets a 9 out of 10. I am your host, and it's time to cool down and look forward for the next review. Peace.